Welcome to Bill's Market Insights. This is the second installment of our series on strategic asset allocation. In our first piece, we defined the structural pillars of the new macro portfolio and the rationale behind them. Today, we're zooming in on the sector with the highest return potential, and perhaps the most misunderstood risk profile, AI stocks. We aren't just looking at the hype, we're diving into the structural death race hidden beneath the AI narrative. We'll examine the friction between massive capital expenditure and rapid hardware decay, and I'll show you how to actually size this risk to ensure your portfolio isn't just growing, but resilient. Imagine Sisyphus, but instead of a gigantic rock, he's pushing a mountain of silicon and $100 bills. As we move through 2026, the global investment in AI infrastructure is projected to cross $1.5 trillion annually. This is a staggering thermodynamic dilemma. We are pouring our atomic-age capital, massive energy grids and heavy physical hardware into a search for bit-age inspiration. For us as investors, the question isn't whether AI is real. The question is whether the math of the push makes sense. Are we building a ladder to a productivity heaven, or are we just funding the world's most expensive treadmill? The reason we must ask that question is a brutal structural mismatch. Logic dictates that industrial-grade reliability, the kind required for mission-critical infrastructure, takes a decade of iteration to perfect. This is the AI illusion. The dangerous gap between a flashy demo that looks smart and a dependable system that is reliable. While we chase that reliability, we're hitting the efficiency wall. Current AI development is a brute force exercise. It is shockingly energy inefficient, with data centers now consuming as much power as entire nations. We're effectively burning old world fuel at an industrial scale to fund new world experiments. This creates a death race against depreciation. High performance hardware has a technical half-life of only 36 months before it becomes obsolete. If the software doesn't cross the reliability desert before the chips turn into expensive paperweights, we aren't looking at a productivity boom. We're looking at a massive capital impairment, a mountain of silicon that lost its value before it ever finished its job. For the past 2 years, the shovel sellers, the silicon hardware makers, held all the cards. We believed $1 billion chip hoard was an undersellable moat. That was wrong. Efficiency is the great equalizer. As we'll see from the recent DeepSeek previews, new lean algorithms are proving that you don't need a massive expensive fortress of hardware to stay in the game. This is intelligence parity. The power is shifting from those who build the infrastructure to the harvesters, the application layers that can actually turn these models into cash. The recent volatility in tech stocks is the market's way of realizing that the silicon moat is in much shallower water than we thought. So, how do you position a macro portfolio in the face of this Sisyphus risk? You move away from pure speculation and towards survival redundancy. Anchor the portfolio in the physical world. Gold to hedge against a collapse in the tech narrative, copper of the literal physical backbone of the AI power grid, short-term bonds for the strategic liquidity needed when the market wobbles. Then we have to address your tech exposure. I recommend a baseline of 25% in AI-related stocks. But here's the critical warning. Before you add a single share, you must perform a look-through of your current holdings. As of May 2026, the tech sector accounts for roughly 1/3 of the S&P 500. If you own a standard index fund, you are already heavily exposed to this single mountain of silicon. If you ignore the shadow exposure and add another 25% on top, you aren't diversifying, you are gambling on a single sector. True survival redundancy means knowing exactly where risks overlap. The Sisyphus stone is heavy, and it's starting to wobble. While the earnings of core tech leaders provide a glimmer of hope, the cost of staying in the game has never been higher. The question for the next year isn't who has the most chips, it's who can turn those chips into a sustainable business before the hardware rots and the power bill comes due. Are we pushing the stone? Or is the stone pushing us?